Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, people. Hopefully, doing well. Welcome to the first course of the Lean Deen School program. So, today we're going to be talking about Dhul Hijjah. Realistically speaking, how to make Dhul Hijjah fasting easy for you, but also the importance of it. We can't really talk about Dhul Hijjah without understanding what it is. So, this is going to be a brief introduction into what Dhul Hijjah is. It's not going to be, an Islamic course or anything like that, but I do feel that we should emphasize the importance of it and why we fast and why we hold this month in high esteem, inshallah. Now, in order to truly appreciate Dhul Hijjah, you can't go any further without looking at the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And like I said, this is not going to be an intensive, seerah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, although I do encourage you guys to look at different resources and learn about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and teach your children if you haven't as well. So, just a very, very quick rundown of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Number one was the breaking of the idols. We all know that he gave the idols he gave the axe to the biggest idol after he took down the smallest ones, and told his people when they came and asked who did this to look to the biggest idol. And from there, the people understood that this idol worshiping is wrong. However, in their arrogance, they rejected it and continued to do the fahisha and the evilness that they were doing. Right. Then the people decided that they had to punish him, and they threw him into a fire. Now, this fire was so massive that some scholars say that the fire was so massive that they had to catapult him in, and they couldn't get near it. So they spent days kindling this fire, and then eventually they had to throw him in and fling him into it using a catapult. Now, when he was being thrown in, we know Angel Jibril came to him and said, Ya Ibrahim, how can I help you? Ibrahim alayhi salam, through his infinite wisdom, said, if it's help from you, I don't want it. If it's help from Allah, I will take it, right? While he's being thrown into the fire, subhanAllah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, made the fire cool for Ibrahim alayhi salam and a place of comfort for him. Not just cool, but a place of comfort for him. And he walked out the fire unscathed. And the townsfolk obviously couldn't do anything, because if you see someone leaving a fire, then game over. You can't do anything to them. Then we know that Ibrahim alayhi salam went and he migrated, and the instance where Nimrud, Ibrahim, and Sarah, his wife, as well as Lut alayhi salam, which was his nephew as well, and then the birth of Ismail alayhi salam, and the incident of in the valley of Safa and Marwa, which is why we commemorate them by doing when we do Umrah, we run between Safa and Marwa as well. And then finally the test of sacrifice, when Ismail alayhi salam was told that he needed to be sacrificed, and Ismail alayhi salam submitted completely, because Ibrahim alayhi salam submitted completely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the origin of Ibrahim alayhi salam, his legacy, and then obviously this translates into Hajj, the pilgrimage that is done in Dhul Hijjah. This is why Dhul Hijjah is given such a sacred reverence. And Ibrahim alayhi salam rebuilt the Kaaba and performed the rituals of Hajj that we now do. Millions and millions of people all over the world, subhanallah, do now. And subhanAllah, think about it for a second. Ibrahim alayhi salam made dua to Allah, saying, Ya Allah, bring forth a progeny of mine that will worship you and revere you, right? And subhanAllah, now look, billions and billions of people, millions of people are all over the world commemorate Ibrahim alayhi salam's legacy in this manner, right? So that is a brief look into the history and the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Again, heavily encourage you guys to look into it if you have not. Now, what are some lessons that we can take from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam? Now, there's a billion lessons that you can take. I narrowed it down into a few that I think are relevant to this presentation and to this topic of fitness, taking care of yourself, as well as just being the best Muslim and the best husband, best father that you can be. Number one, put in the work and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim alayhi salam didn't just say, Ya Allah, I leave it to you to guide these people, or Ya Allah, I leave it to you to deal with the people and the king when they came for Sarah radiallahu anha, right? It was more so he put in the work, he did the steps, and then he trusted the outcome of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost. That was the main source of strength. In the same manner, when we're working on our diet, when we're working on our business, when we're working on our family, we have to put in the work. We can't just sit back and say, okay, Ya Allah, I leave it to you. I'm not going to do anything. You're the one who controls all, which he does, but he expects us to put in the work. This is where the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ comes in to tie our camel. Put in the work, then expect the reward and the results from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, if you want to leave a legacy, serve only to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim alayhi salam's only reason of why he was successful came because he was a Khalil, a friend to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he is the only prophet in the Quran that is mentioned as being a friend to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That is how a legacy is left. If you want to leave a legacy, Yes, focus on your business. Yes, put in the work when it comes to things, right? But also make the first priority to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number three, sacrifice and work will be rewarded. Ibrahim alayhi salam was ready to sacrifice his own son. At the drop of a dime, he was ready to sacrifice his own son. And that was rewarded by bringing millions of people to the place where Ibrahim alayhi salam was going to perform that sacrifice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded him having his name being etched in history forever, ever, by doing this and following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And lastly, children will learn from their parents. If you are a father who is worried about your son, daughter going down the wrong path, a mother going down the wrong path, whatever it may be, you need to set the example. Look back in your childhood. Were you someone who's close to Allah and going to the masjid 24/7? Why do you expect your child to do the same? Are you someone who donates to the community? Why do you expect your child not to be loved by have a love for the masjid? Are you someone who has a good relationship with the Quran? Why would you expect your child to have a good relationship? Are you someone who watches filth or things like that of that nature? Why do you expect your child to be someone who's so pure? Right? We have to hold ourselves to that standard. Just like Ibrahim alayhi salam taught Ismail, and it's from that decree of, yeah, abati, if it's from you, then I accept it. Same thing Ibrahim alayhi salam said to Angel Jibril when he was being thrown in the fire. Subhanallah, it comes full circle. So don't expect your child to be different, or someone who's more righteous, less righteous, or anything like that. They will learn from you. So work on yourselves first, and then inshallah you'll see the results in your children and offspring and progeny as well. So may we be allowed to learn from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and use it as a guide for us to overcome any barriers inshallah we face. So, does the importance of Dhul Hijjah lie? We talked about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Number one, the Hajj pilgrimage. Hajj was performed in this month, and it's supposed to be done in this month. And if you're lucky to go for Hajj, alhamdulillah, it's amazing. Please keep me and my families in your du'as as well. But that's the number one importance in this held in this month. Number two is Eid al-Adha, right? You do the udhiyah, you do the qurbani, and you distribute the food as a commemoration of the sacrifice Ismail alayhi salam was willing to make to Ibrahim alayhi salam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah are virtuous days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that these days are the best days of the year. Not the best nights. The best nights we know are in Ramadan, but the best days lie in Dhul Hijjah. And specifically, the ninth day is absolutely important, right? That's where that is known as the Yawm Arafah, and the Yawm Arafah has its own history as well. And I encourage you guys to look into that as well. But Yawm Arafah is the day where everyone gathers in the plains of Arafah and asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. And it's said that if you fast this day, you expiate your sins of this year and the next year, inshallah, as well. So make sure that if you don't fast the 9 days, which this presentation is meant to help you do, at least fast Yom Arafah. That's one thing I want you to take away, right? Yom Arafah is a very, very significant day. It's so significant that Ibn Abbas reported the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No good deeds are better than what is done in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah." So right then and there, fasting right there is probably one of the best things that you can do, because we know how much you get rewarded for being in a fasted state. And the companions asked, not even jihad? And the Prophet ﷺ said, not even jihad, except for a man who goes out with his life and wealth and risks nothing, and risk everything and returns with nothing. So Dhul Hijjah, fasting the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is that significant, inshallah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us, and hopefully through this presentation we'll learn the techniques to make it easy for us. So we briefly covered it, but why fast during these days? So Muslims who are not going to Hajj should fast the 9 days in order to sort of commemorate the act of Hajj, but sort of put us in that same feeling that, hey, we're doing something that's pleasing to Allah during these days, as opposed to just going by our regular day, right? It should be held in reverence. It should be held in high esteem. So in order to commemorate that, we fast as the bare minimum, something that we can do in order to feel, hey, we're part of it. We're not in Hajj, but ya Allah, we feel it, and we want to sacrifice something for your sake as well. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, all deeds are for the son of Adam except for fasting, which is for me, and I shall reward him for it. So you're literally doing this fasting for Allah's sake. May Allah reward us for it, right? And then we said fasting Dhul Hijjah expiates the sins, especially on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, Yawm Arafah. It expiates the sins of the previous year and the past year, right? So make sure that we emphasize the importance of fasting. If we're encouraging our family to fast, or ourselves, if we don't know why we're doing it, this is a reasoning, inshallah, before that. I want to emphasize, fasting the 9 days is not mandatory like Ramadan. It's not mandatory, but heavily encouraged. because again, these are the best days of the Islamic year. You want to sort of commemorate it somehow. You don't want to just be wasting away in front of the TV or something like that. So now that we spoke about the importance of Dhul Hijjah, let's go into, and particular fasting, let's go into how to make that fast easy, because a lot of us are professionals, a lot of us as families, a lot of us are students. We all have something that's going on in our lives that's going to, we're going to think we can't fast because we need our energy and things like that. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case, right? You can do things, inshallah, that I will discuss in this presentation to help you make the fast very easy for you. And what happens on long days of fasting, particularly, you get initial fatigue and energy levels. You start to crash at a certain point, right? You get dehydrated. Many of us, especially during the summer, or wherever we are, if it's hot, we sort of feel exhausted and fatigue and weakness because of the lack of water, right? Mood fluctuations. You get mad at your spouse. You get mad at your coworkers. Hunger and low blood sugar can lead to a lot of that irritability and mood swings. And then you lose a little bit of your concentration and focus during work, the long days. It can cause you to sort of impair your cognitive function. And then interaction with family and colleagues, again, it's not the best because of short temper and increased conflicts. My wife used to tell me before, like 2 3 years back, a little tidbit, that she did not like when I was fasting because she's like, you become a different person. And that's when I learned, okay, I got to do something to switch it up, find some techniques to help me not be this person. Because fasting is for the sake of Allah, but if you're displeasing someone, especially your wife, your family, or somebody, you're getting snappy because you're hungry, it doesn't make sense, right? Kind of counterproductive. And then the long work days, right? Prolonged fasting can reduce your productivity, and over time, if you continuously fast, which during this 9 days, inshallah, if you choose to fast the 9 days, it's going to affect you, down the line. You're going to start losing energy if you're not fasting properly. So let's talk about what we can do to help alleviate these things, inshallah. So number one, it all starts with suhoor, right? We all know how blessed the suhoor is, especially during Ramadan, but especially for these 9 days that you decide to fast continuously, inshallah, it starts with suhoor. If you have a suhoor with the following formula that we'll discuss, you're going to avoid crashing early in the day. You'll have energy to operate at work. You'll have you'll avoid dehydration that comes along with fasting with the tips that I'll prescribe for you. You'll have stable blood sugars, so you're avoiding any hard crashes. So now this isn't just for some people with diabetes or not diabetes. The blood sugar crash means it dictates your mood too. So if you eat something really sweet and you get that nice boost of energy, you're like, oh, I'm ready, I'm wired, I'm good to go. That sugar crash comes crashing down and you start reaching an all-time low. So you want to try to avoid that. You want to keep your blood sugar stable so you have energy throughout the day. You'll avoid the brain fog and headaches that come along with fasts. You'll be able to focus and put more energy in your ibadah, right? Because the whole point of being in a fasted state is not sitting there withering away on the TV. It's to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more effectively, connect with Him on a better level as well, and inshallah, while you're in a fasted state, you'll have more of that, as opposed to just waiting in bed and waiting for the fast to be over, right? You'll maintain muscle mass, right? If you're someone who goes to the gym, which I hope you are, inshallah, you'll maintain your muscle mass and even experience healthy fat loss. During these 9 days, it's going to be a great time for you to detox off a lot of things that your body doesn't need, right? You won't have stomach issues associated with it if you eat healthy. So if you're having biryani and samosa and all this stuff, obviously you're going to have issues, but if you follow what I put in this presentation, you won't. So, the main formula for suhoor to optimize your energy levels, hydration, and cognitive functions while fasting, you want to make sure the ideal formula for your suhoor is high protein, high healthy fats, I want to emphasize healthy fats, and moderate complex carbs and fiber. So, your main priorities are going to be high protein, high healthy fats, and then high moderate complex carbs and fiber. Matter of fact, I would opt the moderate complex carbs for more fiber, right? Because this inshallah will help you promote satiety, right? It's going to help keep you full for a longer period, and with the intake of specific things of fiber, you're going to also stay hydrated throughout the day, inshallah. So this is going to be your high equation, and then inshallah for the next slides I'll show you exactly what you should be eating, foods that you could be eating to help follow this formula. Number one, let's start with the fibers. Now, a lot of people tend to disregard fiber. Fiber is a cornerstone for a healthy person, especially healthy gut, and also prevents cancer, right? Healthy fiber, high fiber diets are known to help reduce the risk of cancer and also cleans you out very well. So fibers in a fasted state can absolutely keep you full for a longer period of time. It'll keep you regulated so you won't have that gut problem or bloating. So make sure you're prioritizing your fibers, right? Fibers, for example, and you guys can screenshot this or take notes of this. Berries are great. Dates, obviously, it's a superfood from the Sunnah, but dates also have an amazing hydrating property. And I want to talk about this just for a little bit. This should have its own slide, to be honest, but I didn't do that. So dates, subhanAllah, have a hydrating property where, when coupled with water, they actually oxidize and take more water in and hold it and retain it more. So when you're eating dates coupled with water, you're actually hydrating yourself 2 or 3 times more than if you were just having dates or just water. So it has a hydration property where it combats dehydration so well. And subhanAllah, think about the beauty of dates given to our Prophet ﷺ in the middle of the desert where there's no water, where there's no AC, no nothing like that. It's just the heat, and the Prophet ﷺ have been giving dates as a gift, and that's how much it's emphasized in Islam. So just a little bit of history and a little bit of science-based fact on dates. Chia seeds are also great. Bananas are also great. They are higher in sugar content on the glycemic index, but it does regulate your blood sugar, and it does provide fiber as well. And during a fasted period, sugars could be a little bit higher. Only natural sugars. I want to emphasize that natural sugars, not refined sugars like chocolate, candy. This stuff is refined, processed sugars. We want to stay away from that. But natural sugars, fruits like watermelon, cantaloupe, bananas, apples, peaches, that's completely fine. Chia seeds are an excellent source of soluble fiber, which means that it helps absorb water, and also it forms like a gel-like substance, and it gives you a feeling of fullness as well as a hack for hydration. Flax seeds, again, same thing, helps with digestive processes and regulates your blood sugar, promotes satiety. And then green powders, if you want. I wouldn't say green powders for suhoor. I'd keep the green powders for iftar. And same thing with fiber supplements. I put these two at the bottom for people who, even after Dhul Hijjah or Ramadan, they can use green powders and fiber supplements, because I just want to emphasize how important it is to get that amount of fiber inside your body. So if you're doing it for Dhul Hijjah, great. But if you're not, start including more fibers into your diet, especially my brothers who are getting up there in age, because colon cancer, these things can absolutely be combated by a high fiber diet, inshallah. Now moving on, we'll talk about some of the healthy fats. Now, when I say healthy fats, I don't mean things like, oil or like peanut butter or, nuts, like abundant amount of nuts and things like that. More so your healthy fats that help you promote, staying full and give you energy. Also level your blood sugars, because when you have healthy fats early in the day, and you're not having, processed sugars coupled with it or anything like that, you're going to maintain your blood sugars a lot better. You're going to stay full for a longer period of time as well, and you'll have a decent amount of calories, because fats have the most calories. They're the most calorically dense. But these are good choices to have for suhoor, at least. The blended whey protein is a good source of protein and healthy fats, right? Egg whites, eggs, whole eggs, not egg whites. Usually I'd say egg whites and a little bit of eggs, but this time whole eggs, so the yolk has the most fats in it, and also has protein, so it'll keep you full. Full fat or Greek yogurt, great source of protein and fats. Ground turkey is lean and protein packed. You just don't have too much, because these cut meats do have a little bit of carcinogen. You want to try to avoid having so much. Steak, amazing source of iron, amazing source of healthy fats, and high in protein. Cottage cheese, an absolute game changer, high in protein, rich in filling, high healthy fats. Almond butter is such a good alternative to peanut butter. Granola is good, but you want to be careful, because granola does have a lot of good carbs, and especially the ones that are sweetened, you want to be very careful with that, not any processed sugar in it. Mixed nuts, you want to be careful of that, because it does have a high, so outside of Ramadan or outside of fasting, if you're having nuts, be careful, because like a handful of nuts can easily come out to 250 calories without you knowing. So the more you have, the more you exceed your calorie intake, and you're gonna put yourself in a surplus. So just be careful with having so much nuts. But during a fasted state, it's perfectly fine to have a handful of nuts. I would recommend it, honestly. It does give you energy and does help you satiate yourself a little bit quicker. And then you have olives, which is, again, subhanAllah, another food from the Sunnah. Avocados, fantastic source of healthy fats. Black seed oil, you guys already know the benefit of black seed oil, but it does help with has antioxidants and omega 3s, and it does help support immune function as well. And then I think the last one that got cut off was honey, but honey is a great natural source. It's also a food from the Sunnah, and it'll help you, inshallah. So so you can combine these meals, healthy fats with some of the fibers and some proteins, and inshallah you'll have a very satiating, very filling suhoor. But these are things that you want to prioritize, inshallah, when it comes to the healthy fats. Okay. Now we can discuss complex carbs. Now, there's a difference. Quick, recap. There's a difference between complex carbs and simple carbs. Simple carbs are your chips, your sugars, your cookies, your donuts, things like this, right? These are the ones you want to avoid, obviously. And an increase in simple carbs, these sort of sugars are going to increase your appetite. The more sugar you have, you've noticed it probably. The more sugar you have, the more you crave it. So if you start off the day having a bowl of cereal, which is nothing but simple carbs, and it's not going to do anything for you, no nutrients, nothing, you're just going to want more food, and that's going to be a problem because a lot of people. I used to do the same thing, waking up for sahur, 5 minutes left, 10 minutes left, bowl of cereal, and I expect to be full. Not the case at all. Instead, have complex carbs, which are going to be slow digesting, which are going to allow you to be full for a very long period of time, and inshallah is going to provide you the nutrients that you need to operate on a functional, daily basis. So things like oatmeal, right? Low carb wraps or breads. Low carb wraps are a game changer for me and all my clients. I put everybody on low carb wraps because they taste great first and foremost. They're inexpensive, and they provide you that little bit of satisfaction that you need if you have a carb craving. You can air fry them to make them tortillas, or you can put them in like a roll and put chicken or eggs or whatever you want in it. But low carb wraps, definitely go for that. Quinoa is good, but I'm not a huge fan of it. But I know people that do like it. Quinoa is good, is a very good alternative for rice. Whole wheat or keto cereals. Now, this helps me when I want to snack, right? The whole wheat or keto cereals, but it's not the best source of complex carbs in my opinion. Brown rice is good, but you don't want to have too much brown rice. Again, it is rice in its purest form, so you want to just be careful of having too much, but you can obviously have more than you have of white rice. Whole grain bagels, great source of protein as well, if you choose the right brand, as well as very nutrient dense and provides a good source of energy because it's a complex carbs. And oats and oatmeal, like we mentioned, rich in complex carbs and fiber. So you want to try to include some of these complex carbs. You don't have to include all of these. I would say just like we have salan and biryani and stuff, we have a protein and we have a carb. Replace the carb with one of these. So when you're having biryani, or not biryani, but when you're having like chicken salad or something like that, use a whole wheat tortilla or something instead. Don't have three naans, right? Or if you're having, nahari or something like that, use, a whole grain piece of bread as opposed to naan. You have to make some sort of sacrifice. And I promise you, once you start giving your body healthy foods, it's going to start craving more and more healthy foods. The first time you might think this is nasty, I don't like this food, blah, 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 right? But eventually your body's going to realize, hey, this is making us feel good. And why don't we want more of this? And it's going to start getting used to it, and it's going to start taking in more, inshallah. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is hydration when it comes to suhoor. There's a few things that you can do. Instead of gulping down 6 to 7, 8 glasses of water and being like, oh, I need my water intake, you can do a few things to supplement that. Have 3 or 4 glasses of water, definitely, because you need to be hydrated for the day. But also make sure that you're coupling that with things like electrolytes. Electrolytes are very good for maintaining fluid balance and enhancing hydration, right? It has sodium, potassium, magnesium, really, really good stuff for, optimal bodily function. And they also help dehydration while prevent dehydration while fasting. So make sure that you are taking in electrolytes, as well as coupling them with dates. Like we mentioned, dates are absorbing food with water, and chia seeds, flax seeds, these things are great. So try that out instead of having 6 glasses of water and you're guzzling down and you have to pee it all out anyway and you're dehydrated. Make sure you are having some electrolytes coupled with your glasses of water, as well as dates. And finally, I didn't mention it here, but I think it's important to. I just lost my train of thought. All right, I'll come back to it. I think inshallah I'll remember. But yeah, electrolytes and dates and like the chia seeds. These are things that you can absolutely have inshallah when you're trying to stay hydrated as well. So here you can see as an example for like an ideal suhoor meal. I'll have, one of the following meals, or sometimes I'll change it up. But this is basically, a sort of example list of what you guys can do for suhoor that'll keep you full for a very long period of time. Also help retain muscle if you're someone who is in the gym or trying to get into the gym. These will help you inshallah as well. Now for iftar, it's important to have a healthy iftar because once you're breaking your iftar, you don't want your body just to take in a bunch of nasty stuff. Things are getting bloated, gassy after you've been in a depleted state of fasting for a very long period of the day. So you want to make sure that you're having calorie dense foods, but also you want to keep it, keep it light-ish to make sure you're not overfilled or you're not bloated or gassy and things like this. So the prophetic advice from the Prophet ﷺ is that he would break his fast with dates and a fruit, or alternatively water. And then that would be the way he broke his fast. Similarly, I would suggest on doing the following: dates and have some water. Like we said, it's going to hydrate you, and your body's going to receive the signal that, okay, look, we've been fed, we're good, right? Once you have that quick energy that you get from the dates and the water, you're hydrated, and you have that boost of energy, the carbs from the natural sugars found in dates. Pray Maghrib. Don't go to the dinner table. So many people make this mistake. They hear the adhan, they go to the dinner table, they stuff themselves because they're so hungry, their brain has not been fed, so they're eating with their eyes. Pray Maghrib. Let your brain calm down. Give your stomach a chance to tell your brain that, hey, we have been fed, we've been given food. And remember, it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that, hey, we got some food. That's why, subhanAllah, we tend to overeat, right? And that's another sunnah of our Prophet ﷺ, where he eats slow, so that brain can send signal, so that brain can receive the signal from the stomach slowly and surely that, hey, we're being fed, we're good, we don't have to go crazy. Then, when it comes to your first meal, here's some tips that you can follow, and we want you to choose nutritious meals, of course. So for iftar, I want you to focus mostly on high protein meals, right? With lower fats, because we had fats from suhoor and we don't want to increase the fats, because the more fats we do, the more risk we have of going over the calorie intake and putting on weight and getting body fat. So calories come from protein, lower fats, and more carbs. So for example, meals just like this. And by the way, I forgot to mention, but these meal examples and so much more information on fasting and guidance, inshallah, can be found in my Ramadan guide, and I will link that in my school community. Inshallah, you guys can check that out when you get a chance. This is an example of meals for iftar, and then I'll talk about how you can structure your plate if you are outside at an iftar or something. And again, this doesn't just go for Dhul Hijjah, this goes for Ramadan or anytime you really you want to follow the fast. If you Monday and Thursday, the sunnahs, then you can do that as well. So, if you are trying to lose weight or maintain and train properly, then it should be one third carbs, one third vegetables, and one third protein. And subhanAllah is very similar to the hadith of one third water, one third food, one third air. However, since we're trying to, maybe lose weight or kind of maintain or anything like that, then we want to follow this. And this is just a sample picture of what a healthy plate relatively looks like, but you can replace the fibers, you can replace the protein, it doesn't matter. And matter of fact, I couldn't find one, but I would actually cut this into one more third to include some sort of healthy carbs, right? And then if you want to keep your muscle mass or looking to gain even, which I do not recommend to do during a fastest period, obviously, um, one half protein, one fourth vegetables, and one fourth carbs. So your majority of intake is going to be protein, then vegetables, then carbs. And again, you can go back and look at the sources of carbs and fibers that I mentioned for vegetables, fruits, and inshallah take from that list, or you can look at the meals that I provided in the previous slides, and inshallah you can get an idea from there. So to quickly recap for iftar, and the reason we made this one so short for iftar is because suhoor is going to be the main thing to keep you energized. Iftar is not going to be too hard because you don't have to go for tarawih, although you should go for isha. But you don't have to go for tarawih, or stay up the night. Essentially, with as you do with Ramadan. So iftar is very simple in the sense that you don't need it to use to fuel for another activity. Although if you wanted to go to the gym, you could still follow the same structure of having high protein, wait for your food to digest a little bit, then go to the gym after an hour or so. So the recap for iftar is open your fast with 2 to 3 dates and water. Make sure you get that boost that you need, the energy source that you need, the water that you need, hydration, and then inshallah pray maghrib to ensure your brain knows it's satisfied its craving of hunger. And then you go for high protein iftars, high complex carbs, and high fibers, and you're going to keep the fats low. So that's your formula for iftar, inshallah. So if you follow this guidance of having, the right intention for first and foremost fasting for Dhul Hijjah, as well as the formula for suhoor, and then the formula for iftar, I promise you, for these 9 days or even during Ramadan, you're going to eliminate brain fog. You're going to have improved gut health. You're not going to have the bloat that you get from eating samosa and biryani and pakora and all this stuff that you get. You feed your stomach as soon as you break your fast. You won't have the energy crashes. You'll have higher energy levels. Your work days are going to be so much more productive because you're giving the body the nutrients it needs to be more enhanced and focused at work. Your cognitive function is going to be better, inshallah, as well as your mental strength. And finally, the more energy you'll have for ibadah. You'll be able to focus on your salah more. You'll be able to do more. You'll be able to do more dhikr. You'll be able to really connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you're going to eliminate so much of these previous symptoms, inshallah. So that's in a nutshell the course for today. However, if you are someone who feels that you need to improve on these areas more, and if you want even more personal advice and plans as well as accountability, daily accountability, where I check in with you and ensure that you're following plans, ensure that you're staying consistent, and also, introducing habits that are going to help you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while getting closer to your fitness goals, then I invite you to join our Lean Deen one-to-one coaching program, where alhamdulillah we've helped clients all over the world lose fat, build healthy habits, and get closer to Allah. Take the next step in your journey, inshallah, become part of the team. Alhamdulillah, if you're part of the school program, that's an amazing start. But if you want to get even more dialed workouts, more dialed in plans, more daily one-to-one accountability, where I message you and make sure that you're following up on taking your actions, your salahs, your foods, your workouts, all of these things, and so much more, where we implement systems where you're constantly seeing progress, as well as give you the tools and resources that you need to do it on your own and the knowledge implemented to sort of take it to the next level. Then you can send me a DM via school if you're watching this in school, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is, or you can send me a DM via Instagram or email me at aazimfit@gmail.com with the subject coaching, inshallah. So Jazakallah khairan. I apologize if this is too long. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow you guys to make the absolute most of the Hijjah. May you guys be able to make dua for the Ummah as well as everyone suffering all over the world. Please keep me and my families in your du'as if you found any of this helpful. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.